bill. Thank you very much.
Dennis O'Rourke.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. New Zealand First supports the bill to the Select Committee and congratulates Leanne Dalziel for bringing it forward. This is a matter that needed to be addressed for some time, and it's had a very significantly adverse effect on a large number of people, the problem addressed by the bill I'm referring to. And I'm very disappointed, Mr Speaker, to hear of National's opposition to the bill, because they are effectively opposing the needs of elderly people and mums and dad investors who they claim to support. New Zealand First, on the other hand, is always very keen to support the elderly and mums and dads investors in particular, and this is one of the ways in which that can be done. Mr Speaker, the provisions of the ING-ANZ settlement concerning the Frozen Funds Group, which gave rise to this bill, were utterly deplorable. It amounted to nothing more than bullying people into accepting settlements with excessive and unethical provisions, using their unequal bargaining power to achieve that. And that's something that this House should take particular notice of. The behaviour of ING in this matter demonstrated the need for tighter regulation of the whole industry, and that did result in the 2011 legislation relating to the Financial Markets Authority, but this bill is still needed. And that's the point which my friends on the other side of the House don't seem to have grasped, and they need to have a look at it again. This bill addresses a specific problem which I've already referred to, and it needs particular attention. Simon O'Connor, in talking to the Joint Family Homes Repealer Bill, referred to efficiency and tidy legislation. This is one of those issues that does need to be tidied up. It's not solved by disputes resolution procedures or anything of the kind. The practice complained of needs to be made clearly illegal. In the circumstances of the ING case, a general release clause of the kind investors were required to sign to obtain the benefits of the settlement were objectionable, especially the words, and I'll quote them again, quote, including any claims or the extent of any claims of which you are not currently aware, and any claims brought on your behalf for your benefit by another person, close quote. So any claim or right arising as a result of the Commerce Commission inquiry would have been avoided, and any benefit arising indirectly by the action of another investor would also be avoided. That's not proper and needs to be made illegal. These provisions are nothing more than trickery, and they should not be allowed. The bill declares such provisions to be illegal under the Illegal Contracts Act 1970, and rightly so. It's exactly the legislation that we need to address this issue. I'd like to also comment on the commencement date. While New Zealand First normally opposes retrospective legislation, we would in this case approve the 10th of July 2009 commencement date. In the circumstances of this particular case that I have referred to, and in relation to the matters which gave rise to the problem to be corrected by this bill in the first place. If there is to be a debate about the place this bill has in the regime of protections for investors, Mr Speaker, then the correct place to have that debate in that sort of detail is the Select Committee, and not in this House. In fact, if you reflect upon the relatively lightweight debate that we've heard from the other side, then you would have to say that there is no possible way they could properly vote against this bill based on what they have said so far. What I would respect and what New Zealanders would respect is if the National Party changed their position, turned up at the Select Committee process and debated the detail of it properly, and then reached a decision. Then I and other New Zealanders could accept that. But what we can't understand is why, based on the arguments, the actually frivolous, I think, arguments that have so far been put forward, then there's no possible way that anyone could have respect for a conclusion based on that level of a debate. So I would really encourage my friends in the opposite benches to have another look at this, at least let it go to the Select Committee, debate it properly, then make a decision, and that's fair enough. Mr Speaker, for all of those reasons, New Zealand First says that we must allow this bill to go to the Select Committee, and we support it for that reason.
Todd McClay.
Mr Speaker, thank you. It gives me pleasure to rise to speak on this.